The battlefield betrayal. The sky was full of smoke and fire. Explosions shook the ground every few seconds. It was not just a battle, it was the last stand on this dead planet. Alien warrior Zara moved fast through the ash-covered land. Her strong body, covered in armor, had fought in over 30 battles. She was known for her sharp aim, her loud war cry, and her cold heart. But this time, something felt wrong. Zara's squad had landed on this planet to hold the line. The humans were supposed to be far away, but somehow they were already there. Zara gave orders to her troops, her voice strong even with the sound of blasts around them. Her soldiers followed her, trusting her. She had never lost. Not once, but then it happened. A strange buzzing sound came from beneath her feet. She looked down for a second too late. The ground exploded. Her legs disappeared in a flash of heat. And pain? She screamed, her body thrown into the air before falling hard on the ground. She could not move her lower half. Her legs were gone. Zara opened her eyes, her vision blurred. Her soldiers looked back at her, but only for a second. She reached out a shaking hand, her voice weak now. "Help me." One by one, they turned away. They ran. They left her behind. They didn't even say anything. Zara was alone, bleeding, broken, furious. She could not believe it. Her own people, those she led and protected, had left her to die. Not even a second thought. In her culture, honor was everything. Leaving a warrior on the battlefield was the worst kind of betrayal. Now, Zara dragged herself with her arms. She left a trail of blood behind her as she moved over rocks and dirt. Her armor was cracked. Her skin was burned. Her body was growing colder. She knew she would die here. She stopped moving, her arms too weak to pull any more dots. She looked up at the red sky. "If this is my end," she whispered, "let it come quickly." Then footsteps. Zara's heart beat faster. Maybe someone had returned for her. Maybe one soldier had found his courage. She turned her head, hoping to see one of her own. But it wasn't one of her own, Dot. It was a human Marine. He walked slowly toward her, weapon lowered but ready. He had dirt on his face, cuts on his arms, but his eyes were sharp. He stared at her for a long moment, not speaking. She reached for her weapon, but her arm trembled too much. She was too weak. He could kill her easily, but he did and single quotes to Dot instead. He knelt beside her. Zara growled, trying to speak. "Go away. Kill me already." But the human didn't move. To kill. Instead, he pulled something from his belt, a small medical pack, and began cleaning her wounds. Zara was too shocked to stop him. "Why?" she asked, her voice dry. He didn't answer right away. He kept working, wrapping her. Stumps and clean cloth. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "Because no one deserves to die alone." Zara didn't understand. Humans were enemies. They were cruel and greedy. At least that's what she had always believed. Why would one help her? "You're human," she said with hate in her voice. "I don't need your pity." "It's not pity," the Marine said. "It's respect. You fought bravely. I saw it. You deserve better than being left like trash." Zara stared at him. No one had ever said such words to her. Not even her own people. Her squad had called her a beast, a war tool. Never a person, but this human. He looked at her like she was more. "Who are you?" she asked. "Sergeant." "Daniel Cross," he said, tightening the final bandage. She gave a weak laugh. "You're insane, Daniel Cross. Helping the enemy will get you killed." "Maybe," he said, standing up. "But I don't leave anyone behind." He lifted her carefully into his arms. Zara wanted to fight, wanted to stop him, but her body didn't respond. So she rested her head against his chest, hating the weakness inside her, but also feeling something else. Warmth. For the first time in her life, someone had touched her without fear or control. Not to use her, not to break her, but to save her. As Daniel carried her into the smoke, Zara closed her eyes. Maybe she would live. Maybe. This human was different, but one thing was now certain. This war was not what she thought it was, and neither was he. A human's promise. As Zara opened her eyes slowly, the air smelled like smoke and blood, but there was something else too: clean bandages, warm fire, and safety. She wasn't dead. That surprised her more than anything. Her body still ached, and where her legs once were, there was only numb pain. But she was alive. Alive because a human, her enemy, had refused to let her die. She turned her head and saw him nearby. Sergeant Daniel Cross sat just outside the small broken shelter they had found. He held his rifle across his lap and looked out into the forest, always alert. He had not slept, not even for a minute. Zara could see it in his tired eyes. "You stayed," she said, her voice quiet. Daniel looked back and nodded. "I said I would." Zara didn't know how to reply. Her people didn't believe in kindness during war. Strength, fear, and victory were all that mattered. A soldier who couldn't walk was no longer useful. That's why they had left her. "You're wasting your time," she said after a long silence. "I'm broken. I have no legs. You should leave me here." Daniel frowned. "You think I care about that? You should." "I don't," he said firmly. "You're a person, not just a fighter. You deserved help, and you still do." Zara was silent again. His words were simple, but they hit her harder than any blast. Her people had never called her anything more than a weapon. But Daniel called her a person. He brought her water, helped her drink. Then he sat near her again. She studied his face. He had a scar down one cheek, deep and old. His hands were rough from battle, but his eyes were different. They were tired, yes, but also full of something rare. She didn't understand it at first. Until he spoke again. "I had a friend once," Daniel began. "She was left behind in a mission. I tried to go back, but command ordered me to retreat. I followed orders. She died. I live with that mistake every day." Zara watched him closely. "So now you're trying to fix your past by saving me?" "No," Daniel said. "I'm saving you because it's right, not because of guilt. I've learned one thing in war: it doesn't matter where someone's from. What matters is who they are when everything is falling apart." Zara looked away, unsure how to feel. This human had every reason to hate her, but instead he risked his life for her. Why? She thought for a long time. Then, finally, she asked, "Why do you care so much about your enemy?" Daniel gave a small smile. "Maybe because you're not really my enemy anymore." She blinked, unsure if she heard him correctly. "I saw the way your people left you," he said. "They treated you like trash. That's not how you treat someone you value, but you still fought, even when crawling. That's courage. That's something I respect." Zara couldn't hide the emotion in her chest. She had spent her whole life proving she was strong. She had killed for her empire, bled for her commanders, and obeyed every order. Yet they had thrown her away, without mercy. Now this human, this stranger, called her brave and meant it. It confused her. It warmed her. Daniel stood and checked his gear. "We have to move soon. Your people and mine are both out there, and neither side wants us alive. But I'm not leaving without you." Zara stared at him. "You're serious, dead serious. You could save yourself. Go alone. No one would blame you. I would blame me." For the first time since her injury, Zara laughed. It was a short, tired laugh, but real. "You're too noble for your own good, human." Daniel looked over his shoulder. "Maybe, or maybe I just believe no one gets left behind, not anymore." He picked up a broken drone frame from nearby. Slowly, he began building a sled-like platform. Zara watched, puzzled. "What are you doing?" "If you can't walk," he said, "we'll roll. I'm not carrying you forever." "I figured you'd hate that." Zara smiled despite herself. He was right. She didn't want pity, she wanted dignity. And Daniel was giving her just that dot as the night fell over the ruined forest. Zara felt something she had not felt in years' hope. It was strange and fragile, but real. She still didn't know why this human had saved her. But she knew one thing. He had made a promise, and he was keeping it. Asterisk, the hunt begins the forest was quiet, too quiet. Zara didn't like it. She had been a warrior long enough to know that silence in war meant danger was near. Birds were gone. Air was thick. Even the wind seemed afraid to move. She lay on the small sled Daniel had made, her plasma rifle across her chest. Her eyes watched every shadow. Daniel walked beside her, pulling the sled through the rough ground. He didn't complain, not once. His face was focused. His eyes scanned the trees. He was more than just a soldier, he was a protector now. Zara could feel it. "They were being watched," she whispered. "Something's coming." Daniel stopped. He listened. His fingers tightened around his rifle, and then, from the trees, came movement. A silver dart flew through the air and struck the ground just inches from Daniel's boot. He dropped to one knee and raised his weapon. Zara rolled off the sled and aimed her rifle. Voices followed, alien voices. Her language. "They're here," she said, "my own people. But they're not here to save me." Daniel didn't look. "Surprised?" "I figured. Soldiers who abandon one of their own don't want her coming back alive." Zara's eyes narrowed. "They want to erase the shame." Daniel pulled the sled behind a fallen tree and helped Zara take cover. She hated needing help, but she also knew she couldn't fight on her own. Not yet. Not like this. More darts flew past. Footsteps echoed through the forest. 6 shadows appeared, Zara's old squad mates. Their eyes were cold. Their weapons pointed forward. They moved as if she had never meant anything. One of them stepped ahead. His name was Virak. He had once called Zara sister. Now he looked at her like she was a disease. "You should have died in the explosion," Virak said. Zara's voice was steady. "You left me. You were useless. You are a stain on our honor." Daniel stood beside her. "That's enough." Virak turned to him with disgust. "You think you understand us, human? You saved broken trash." Daniel raised his weapon. "Say that again, and I'll break your jaw." The moment hung in the air. No one moved. Then a shot rang out. A tree branch above Virak shattered. Bark fell like rain. The shot came from Daniel, but not to kill. It was a warning. "I won't miss next time," he said. The other aliens hesitated. Virak's face twisted. With anger. "You protect her now? She's not even one of you." "She's more than any of you," Daniel said. "She didn't run. She's still fighting." Zara's heart beat faster. No one had ever defended her like that. She tightened her grip on her weapon. Another alien stepped forward. This one didn't speak. He raised his gun, but before he could fire, Zara did. One clean shot. Straight to the leg. The alien dropped with a scream. The others froze. Zara growled, her voice loud and clear. "I may not have legs, but I still have aim. Try me." The squad looked at each other. Their leader was down. Their mission was failing. And Zara, wounded and angry, was still dangerous. They ran back into the woods. Gone. Daniel exhaled. "Well, that went better than I expected." Zara looked at him. "You were willing to fight them, to die for me." Daniel shrugged. "I didn't come this far to let cowards win." She smiled, only a little. "You're either very brave Or very stupid. Probably both, he said, laughing softly. Zara leaned back on the sled. Her body was shaking, but not from fear, from adrenaline. For the first time since losing her legs, she had fought back. She had faced her past, and it had run from her. She wasn't done. She wasn't broken. Not anymore. Daniel checked his compass. We move before they return. They won't give up easily. Zara nodded. Then neither will we. They pushed forward, two enemies. Now allies. Both hunted. Both alone except for each other. Somewhere deep in the forest, a new chase had begun, but this time, Zara was ready, and she wasn't alone. Fighting with no legs. Shara had always believed strength came from standing tall, from charging forward, from crushing your enemy face to face. But now she had no legs. She could not stand. She could not walk. And yet something inside her refused to die. Daniel had pulled the sled through mud,
thorns, and broken trees for 2 days.
He didn't stop unless it was to give her water or check her wounds. Zara tried not to show her pain, but it burned in her every hour. Still, she said nothing. If he could push forward, so could she. One night, as the cold air settled over the woods, Zara broke the silence. I'm not just going to sit on this sled forever. Daniel looked at her, confused. You need rest. I need to fight. He sat down beside her. You can't run. You can't even crawl fast. If we're found again, then I want to shoot, she cut in. Let me defend us. I'm not a victim, not your burden. I'm still a warrior. Daniel didn't argue. He nodded. Okay, he said. Then let's upgrade this sled. The next morning, Daniel worked with old machine scraps and broken drone parts. Zara watched carefully. He built handles, mounted her plasma rifle at the front, and even attached small wheels from destroyed supply crates. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't fast. But it was something. Zara climbed onto it. Her arms moved the platform. The gun was now part of her. She aimed it once and smiled. I'm ready, she said. They moved deeper into the forest, but now Zara was not just being pulled. She was scanning, hunting, alert. Daniel would scout ahead and Zara would cover from behind. It was slow, but it worked. That evening, the enemy came again. A group of 4 alien scouts appeared through the trees. Their armor bore the symbol of Zara's former unit. She recognized them instantly. Daniel whispered, They haven't seen us yet. Zara didn't wait. She fired. The first shot dropped one scout before he could even raise his weapon. The second blast forced the others to dive for cover. Move, she shouted. Daniel dashed left, flanking the enemies. Zara fired nonstop, using her rifle like it was part of her body. The new platform shook from the recoil, but she didn't stop. One alien tossed a smoke grenade. The forest filled with thick gray fog. Zara coughed, eyes burning. She couldn't see. She listened instead. Footsteps. A click. A voice in her own language. You are marked for death, traitor. Zara didn't speak. She waited. Then she fired. The smoke parted just enough for her to see the last attacker fall. Daniel returned, coughing, with a small cut across his cheek. You okay? He asked. Zara nodded. You? Just missed my good side, she smirked. That was your good side. They both laughed. Then the forest fell quiet again. After the fight, Daniel checked her rifle, refilled the power cells, and said something that surprised her. You're scary with that gun. She looked down at her body-scarred, burned, half-machine. Now, am I still a soldier, though? Daniel met her eyes. No, you're more. That night, as stars blinked above, Zara thought about her past. Her strength had come from her legs, her speed, her raw power. But now, she was still fighting. She was still alive. Not because of her body, but because of her will. And because of him. The next day, they reached a rocky cliff. Below was the river they needed to cross to reach safe ground. But the enemy was behind them. They heard ships in the distance. More scouts. Bigger weapons. Zara turned to Daniel. "They're close. We won't outrun them." "Then we don't." "Run." She nodded. They prepared. She mounted the rifle. He had traps along the path. This time, they would not flee. They would fight. And even if she couldn't stand, Zara was more dangerous than ever. They found us. The sound of engines filled the sky. Dust rose in waves. Zara didn't need to look. She already knew. They had been found, again, but this time was different. This time, she was ready. She tightened her grip on the mounted plasma rifle. The sled, though rough and patched with wires and scrap metal, now felt like a part of her. She wasn't just a broken soldier hiding in the forest anymore. She was a weapon again. Daniel stood at her side, his jaw tight, his eyes scanning the trees. 3 ships, he said calmly, dropping troops. "They'll be here in minutes." Zara narrowed her eyes. "Let them come." Daniel smiled slightly. He knew she meant it. The last 2 days had changed everything. She was no longer just surviving. She was fighting again. With Daniel's help, she had rediscovered her fire. And now that fire burned hot. Minutes later, figures appeared from the trees. Zara recognized their armor, not just any unit. It was hers, the elite, the best her people had. They had come not to save her, but to erase her. They called out in their sharp alien tongue, "Zara, step forward, surrender. You shame the warrior code." Zara laughed, bitter and cold. "You call this shame? Leaving your own to die is the real shame." One of them stepped forward. Her old squad leader, Commander Leth. He had once praised her. Now he looked at her like she was a disease. "Chose a human over your own people," he spat. "I chose the one who stayed," she replied. Leth raised his hand. "Then you will fall beside him." Without waiting, they opened fire. Blasts shook the air. Trees cracked and burned. Zara's hands moved faster than Daniel had ever seen. Her plasma rifle lit the forest with deadly light. One enemy dropped, then another. Daniel ran left, drawing their aim away. He fired and ducked behind cover. A blast scraped his arm, but he didn't stop. Zara turned her sled sharply, the wheels squeaking. From behind a rock, she fired at the legs of 2 more soldiers, cutting them down with brutal shots. Sparks flew from their armor. She didn't give them time to scream. "Still think I'm broken?" She shouted. The enemy didn't answer, but they didn't stop either. They pushed forward. Zara fired again, but her rifle clicked. Out of power. "Daniel," she called. He threw her a fresh power cell. She caught it midair, locked it into place, and fired again. Her sled was shaking now, cracked in places. Her arms burned. Her body screamed in pain. But she kept going. Commander Leth reached the center of the battlefield. He raised a heavy blaster and pointed it straight at Daniel. Zara screamed. "No!" She pushed the sled forward too fast. Too sharp. It flipped. She hit the ground hard. Leth fired. The shot missed Daniel by inches. Zara pulled herself up. Blood on her face, her rifle still in her hand. She aimed at Leth's weapon and fired. It exploded in his hand. He fell back, screaming. Daniel rushed to her, helping her up onto the sled again. "You okay?" he asked, breathless. "I'm tired of being okay," she said. "Let's end this." She fired one final shot at the remaining troops. They looked at their fallen commander, looked at the 2 bloodied, broken fighters who refused to fall and ran. Zara's chest rose and fell. Her whole body shook. But they had won. She turned to Daniel. That was ... insane. He smiled. "We're still alive." She laughed, though it hurt. "Barely." Daniel checked the area. We need to move. If they call for backup, they won't, she said. Not after that. As he fixed her sled again, Zara looked at him closely. He was tired, hurt, but still fighting. I don't understand you, she said. You saved me when even my own people didn't. Daniel didn't look up. Maybe it's not about understanding. Maybe it's just the right thing to do. She shook her head. No, it's more than that. He glanced at her. What do you mean? Zara didn't answer right away. She stared into the burned forest where her past had just tried to kill her. And then she looked at Daniel, the human who gave her a future. I trust you, she said. It wasn't easy for her to say, but it was true. Daniel smiled gently. Good, because I'm not done protecting you. Together, they turned toward the river, their next goal. And though the path ahead was dangerous, Zara no longer feared what was coming, because this time she was not alone. Escape or deity, the river rushed below them like a wild animal. Fast, deep, and full of sharp rocks, it cut through the land like a scar. On the other side was hope, maybe even safety. But standing on this cliff, covered in smoke and blood, Zara and Daniel knew the truth. This was their last chance. Behind them, smoke still rose from the battle they had just survived. Zara's old commander was down. Her former squad had fled. But that didn't mean it was over. Reinforcements would come. More ships, more soldiers. And this time, they wouldn't stop until both she and the human were dead. Zara sat on the damaged sled, breathing hard. Her body felt heavier than ever. She had used all her strength. Her arms were shaking. Her wounds burned. And her eyes, once full of rage, now showed something else. Tired hope. Daniel stood beside her, holding his rifle, staring at the wide river below. It's too fast, he said. There's no bridge, and I don't see any boats. Zara looked at the water. Then we float, or we die. Daniel glanced at her. You sure? She gave a weak smile. I'm sure of one thing, we're not dying on this side. They worked quickly. Daniel gathered metal panels from wreckage, tied branches with wire, and used a broken hover drone's core as a float. Zara, though weak, gave instructions. Her brain was still sharp, and her instincts sharper. Together they built a raft. It wasn't perfect. It looked like it could fall apart any second. But it was all they had. As they prepared to lower it into the water, Daniel paused. Zara, he said softly, if this doesn't work, it will. But if it doesn't, she looked at him. Then thank you for seeing me when no one else did. Daniel didn't answer. He just reached out and took her hand, not out of duty, but out of respect. And maybe something more. They placed the sled on the raft, securing it with rope. Zara rolled onto it slowly. Daniel pushed the raft forward until it floated, then climbed on behind her. The river pulled them in fast. Waves crashed against the sides. The raft shook. Water sprayed into their faces. Daniel held the ropes tightly while Zara aimed her rifle at the sky, because they weren't alone. A distant hum grew. Louder, Zara's ears twitched. Ship. Daniel turned. A dark shadow flew over the trees. One of the enemy patrol crafts had returned. They're scanning, he said. If they see us? They won't, Zara said, raising her rifle. The ship flew lower. Its lights passed over the river, just meters away. Zara waited. And then fired. One shot. Right into the engine wing. The ship sparked and pulled away, spinning slightly before vanishing behind the trees. Daniel stared. How did you hit that? She shrugged. Even without legs, I never miss. The raft kept moving fast. Sharp rocks passed beneath. One corner broke. Water leaked in. Daniel used his arm to scoop it out, trying to stay balanced. We're sinking, he said. Almost there, Zara replied. Hold on. The far side of the river was close now. Trees looked greener. The ground looked solid. And then a loud crack. The raft split in two. Zara slipped, screaming as the water pulled her under. Daniel dove in after her, ignoring the cold, ignoring the pain. He grabbed her arm and pulled hard. She couldn't kick, couldn't swim. Her legs were gone, but he didn't let go. He dragged her through the water, using every bit of strength left in his body. When they finally reached the shore, both of them collapsed, wet, cold, alive. Zara coughed and looked up. You really don't give up. Daniel rolled onto his back, breathing hard. Nope. They lay in silence for a moment, staring at the sky. Then Zara whispered, I was supposed to die. Daniel looked at her. But you didn't. She turned her head toward him. You didn't just save my life. You gave it back to me. He smiled. Now let's make it worth something. Behind them, the enemy still searched. But ahead of them, beyond the trees, was the unknown. A new world. A new chance. They had escaped. But the fight wasn't over. It had just changed. Asterisk rebuilt. Not broken. The sky above was calm now. No ships, no smoke, no explosions. Just clouds floating quietly like the war had never happened. But for Zara, everything had changed. She opened her eyes in a clean, quiet room. It was not a prison. It was not a hospital filled with shouting or fear. It was peaceful. A soft light glowed on the ceiling. Her body felt strange but warm. Her mind was clear. And then, slowly, she moved her hands and looked down. Her legs, not her real ones, but new ones. Metal, smooth and shining. Not heavy like she feared. They were made with human tech, strong, smart, built with care. She flexed her toes, and they moved. Not perfectly, but they moved. Someone had rebuilt her. She turned her head, and there he was. Daniel Cross, standing in the doorway, arms crossed. A smile just starting on his tired face. You're awake, he said. Zara tried to sit up. He rushed forward to help, but she waved him off and pushed herself up. I can do it, she said. And she did. It hurt. Her muscles ached. But she sat upright, staring at him. You kept your promise, she whispered. Daniel nodded. Told you I don't leave people behind. Zara reached down and touched her new legs again. These are human tech? Top medical engineers, he replied. After what we went through, they thought you deserved the best. She looked at him. Why did you keep fighting for me? Even when no one else did? Daniel paused before answering. Because I saw you when no one else wanted to. Because you were worth saving. Zara was quiet for a long time. No one had ever said that to her, not even her own kind. To her people, she had been a tool, a weapon, a body that followed orders. But to this human, she was more. You risked your life, she said, and I'd do it again. She stood slowly. Her legs were stiff but steady. The room tilted for a second, then leveled. Daniel reached out just in case, but didn't touch her. He let her walk the first steps herself. I feel strange, she admitted. That's okay, he said. Strange means you're alive and healing. She looked out the window beside the bed. It showed a peaceful training camp. Young human soldiers moved around below, laughing, training. She could hear birds. Peace. Something her world had never given her. I don't know where I belong anymore, she said quietly. Daniel came closer. Then make your own place. She looked at him. And smiled. Weeks passed. Zara trained again, not just her body, but her mind. She studied with human engineers, learned how to control her legs better, learned their ways, their history, their culture. And she taught them too. Taught them alien combat, strategy, even language. She became more than a soldier. She became Bridge. One day, she stood beside Daniel, watching the stars rise over the trees. I still hear them in my dreams, she said. The ones who left me, the voices of my old squad. Daniel nodded. I hear voices too. But you know what I hear louder? What? Your voice, still alive, still standing. She turned to him. Thank you for never giving up on me. He smiled. I think we saved each other. They stood in silence a moment longer. Then Zara reached down and touched her new leg. It's strange, she said. I lost so much, but I feel more complete now than I ever did before. Daniel looked at her, because now you know who you really are. She nodded. Not broken, not abandoned. Not weak. She was rebuilt. Stronger. Wiser. And no longer alone. Together, they stepped forward, side by side. Two survivors, once enemies, now something far more powerful. And somewhere in the stars, war still burned. But so did hope.